Next, we go one-on-one with State Representative Jeanne Ives, who is challenging Governor Rauner for the Republican nomination for governor. We hear about how her campaign is now progressing and talk to her about her recent debate at the Chicago Tribune with the governor. This runs about 15 minutes. As we're sitting here, you just recently had what probably is going to be apparently the only time when you appear directly with the governor. I'm sure a lot of people who are interested in politics watched it. Interestingly, you don't have to say you won. It seemed like every columnist who wrote anything about it said you crushed the governor. I think that was the verb they used. What is your response as far as just your overall assessment of how that, let's call it a debate? I don't know if it was billed as a debate, but how did it go in your minds?
Well, I'm in the moment when I'm in it, so I didn't really have an impression of how it was going one way or the other. It became very clear, though, that Governor Rauner honestly had no honest answers for the past 3 years of inactivity and failure. And look, it doesn't give me great pleasure, quite frankly, to take on a sitting Republican governor or somebody who's, a member of our party, somebody that I supported in 2014, somebody that I went out on a limb and supported all of his 44 points of a turnaround. I don't take pleasure in bringing down anybody. I really want to just build up Illinois, but Governor Rauner, his actions had to be answered to by somebody in the party. So I'm answering the call by conservatives and Republicans around the state who want a different option on the ballot. That's what I'm doing. And, there's plenty of other colleagues that could have done this. There's plenty of other folks with a lot of business savvy, and a lot of experience that could have taken on Governor Rauner. They did not want to. I couldn't stand not to do it when nobody else stepped in.
The last time we actually did a sit-down, it was just around 2 or 3 days before you made your formal announcement, and you were still assessing it. Mm-hmm. What was the tipping point in saying, I'm going to do it? You just said you couldn't not do it. Why not? Why is it so important? Because this is not an easy task. People would say it's a Herculean task. You're taking on a guy with an endless supply of money, and you don't have that. Mm-hmm. So I think initially people were saying, well, what is she going to be able to accomplish? It seems in light of this recent Tribune debate, for lack of a better term, and just the temperature of the political climate within the Illinois Republican Party right now, that I think what I'm hearing is that you're accomplishing more than what some people thought you would. What's your assessment? What are you hearing as you've been going around the state and talking to various Republican organizations about your quest?
The Republican organizations around the state are supporting this candidacy, and they are not supporting Governor Rauner. They are not. I got a standing ovation when I was in Jersey County just Saturday night at their Lincoln Day dinner. And I was not even the keynote speaker. And we have, look, the grassroots wanted this candidacy. And, we went on a lot of faith. We had no money to get started, but we knew the voters were with us, and that if we could turn out the voters to get us on the ballot, if we could turn out if we could speak to enough Republican organizations and get them energized about this campaign, we knew it would be race on regardless of his plenitude of finances. We knew that they would respond, and sure enough, before we even spoke the first time, we were nervous about getting the signatures. But in 4 weeks, we gathered 16,000 signatures from around the state, over 64 counties, over 520 circulators, to get us on the ballot. And we still had no money, but we pushed forward, and now the resources are coming in. Why? Because it's so obvious that Governor Rauner will not be elected in 2018. And we need a credible Republican challenger to the Democrats who only want higher spending, more taxes. That will put the nail in the coffin in the state of Illinois. And we know that we can gather enough voters from around the state that want to get back on track.
One of the things I think that, again, I'm not just saying this, I'm paraphrasing what some others have said in their columns and assessments of that Tribune debate, but that you came off not goofy, I think was one of them. That,
not wacky.
Not wacky. And that you know the issues. I think some might have said policy wonk, but that you knew the issues in depth, and they were critical of the governor for apparently either not knowing the issues in depth or not being able to articulate them. One of the things I think also that was part of the themes, and we actually touched on this back when you were thinking of running, you're a conservative in a blue state, and so people question, okay, if you get the nomination, how do you win statewide in Illinois as a conservative Republican?
Well, I think the state of Illinois is ready for a conservative message, one that talks about personal responsibility, one that talks about reining in spending, one that talks about no more tax hikes. And I don't think, economics does not discriminate against liberal, independent, or conservative. It doesn't. It punishes everybody when your finances are out of whack. And so we think that message about conservative leadership when it comes to economics is going to win. Look, we have imposed the most socially liberal agenda on the people of the state of Illinois. There's nothing else to be done, honestly, in that realm. And so at this point, you have to turn to finances, and the Democrats have no answers for the demise that's been the state of Illinois for the last decades, they've controlled it.
One of the big issues for everyone, and it cuts across, as you say, it's not partisan, it's the property taxes.
Absolutely.
You've focused on that for a number of years. We've talked about it over the years. What's your approach to getting property taxes down?
Well, first thing, we're going to get assessments correct. So statewide, you have a problem with assessments. I had a task force. I know it sounds goofy, just a task force, but I'll tell you what, this task force would have revealed everything that was revealed in the Chicago Tribune about the games being played against poor and minority communities in Cook County. And it would have revealed that our assessment system statewide is messed up, which means that our education funding formula is inaccurate and not delivering resources to the places that really need it. So we're going to focus on proper assessments. And then we're going to set the right goal, being that we're not going to freeze property taxes at the highest level. We're going to attempt to lower property taxes at the higher level. That's what we're going to focus on. And if you don't set the right goal, you're not going to get the right result. We need to lower property taxes on people in Illinois, and that's going to be our focus.
And if you do, can you lower property taxes without damaging then the local schools and local municipal government?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I can show you time and time again from one small school to another school district where you're getting better results with less money. And some of those schools need to be propped up and we need to deliver more resources. But that education funding formula is not going to do it. It's not based on outcomes. It incentivizes the wrong thing. So we need a new funding formula, and I'm just going to say that upright, or we need to defund the one that was put in place and send resources to where they're really needed. When we do that, and we do it in a measured way, and we actually win the argument that that you need to fix the unfunded mandates at the local level that come from the state, then you can start to see lowering of property taxes. But it's aligning the state spending on education and getting rid of mandates at the local level.
If you were the nominee, if you were elected, let's put it that way, let's say you became the governor, then a lot of voters would say, well, we just had what they thought was a conservative Republican who came in and couldn't get anything done working with Mike Madigan, in fact, demonized Mike Madigan. Why would you be different in that regard, or would we have 4 more years of a standoff between a conservative governor and a Democratic legislature? Well,
look, the Ives administration is not going to pick a personal feud with the long-standing Speaker of the House, if he is still Speaker of the House. Now, we're hoping that he's not. Of course, as Republicans, we're hoping we pick up 9 new seats to return control of the House back to Republicans. But even if he is, look, I can work with my Democrat colleagues. I think the game is up on where we need to be financially as a state. I think there's no more taxes to be that you can raise. I think out-migration is a real thing, and I think the Democrats are coming around. So I look to work collaboratively with my Democrat colleagues for the economic reforms that they know we need to have. Governor Rauner poisoned the well against collaboration. And then he didn't lead on policy because he didn't care. He didn't care to know the details so that he could lead. I believe we can get better deals for taxpayers time and time again whether it's incentives for business development or whether it's cleaning up our education funding formula.
We won't go much longer. I know you're a busy schedule here, but there were the two key issues I think that might have tripped. I think you were you tell me if I'm wrong. I think you were dissatisfied with the governor beforehand, but when he signed the bill that made Illinois, I think you would say, a sanctuary state, and when he signed the funding for abortions using taxpayer money, those were kind of the last straw for you. On those two issues, if you were governor, would you work to undo those two policy issues?
I absolutely would look to undo both those policies. In fact, I've signed on bills that repeal both of those items. Look, sanctuary state is universally rejected by all types of party folks, and on both sides. Okay, and because it has made us less safe. And we don't need no further proof than the fact that the Department of Justice sent a letter to not just City of Chicago and Cook County, but now the state of Illinois, requesting information on whether or not they're harboring illegal immigrants. And they put millions of dollars of public safety grants at risk that we could use in the state of Illinois that's federal support. So, we are considered a sanctuary state by Department of Justice, and that needs to be reversed. We need to follow federal law, and that's what we would do. So we would hope, the only way to undo some of these is actually to control the House, the Senate, and the governorship. What Rauner put in hand via his signature will take arguably millions of dollars and decades to remove, and that's shameful. It's absolutely shameful that a Republican governor made us a sanctuary state and forced taxpayers to fund abortion. And in Illinois, that's all 9 months, open-ended entitlement program through all 9 months of pregnancy. It's outrageous. Planned Parenthood has plans to open 5 new places in the state of Illinois. They see us as a profit center, profiting off of taxpayers' hard-earned money to go to fund abortion. It's outrageous that Governor Rauner, as a Republican, signed such a bill. Not even the Democrats did that when they had 100% control.
You had mentioned you had no money when you started. How's your fundraising going?
Great. We're doing great. People are, we're generating online donations every single day. Thousands of dollars come into the campaign online. And we've got a large donors that used to support Governor Rauner are now supporting Jeanne Ives in both the policy realm and on the donor level. So we're really excited. We will have the resources to now get our message out and let Republican voters know that they have a choice on March 20th.
And just as we sit here, you're about to have an event that we'll cover, which is, I think you're going to be endorsed by some other members of the legislature.
Yes. Yes.
What does that say? What message does that send, or do you want it to send to Republican voters, independent voters, that it's pretty unusual that members of the Republican Party would oppose their own sitting governor?
Well, this tells you this is not, I'm not a fringe candidate, and this is not a fringe candidacy. I'm very happy and delighted that my colleagues are endorsing this campaign. But I knew this from the get-go. They're the first people that called me and said, you need to run against the governor. So Jeanne Ives didn't just wake up one day and say, well, I'm going to run against Governor Rauner. I got calls from around the state, including my colleagues, and now they will be here in the open to publicly endorse this campaign. And we have far more endorsements than Governor Rauner does of sitting Republican members of the state legislature. And not a single Republican in the congressional delegation from Illinois has endorsed Governor Rauner's reelect. That tells you a lot. People are universally upset with him and the policies he put in place.
Jeanne Ives, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.